Hello my friends, and welcome to the follow-up about this Quad 67 CD player. When it arrived from another workshop and had 4 faults. The display wouldn't work, but this was just a couple of backlight globes. The tray wouldn't come out, and there was a foreign object from another CD player fallen in. Then that probably caused breaking of all the gears, and this is an old wheel. Even the customer sent me a spare wheel, but I didn't use it because it's a bit wobbly when you put it in. I did put it in, but it just it didn't travel. The tray didn't travel straight. And finally, the CD wouldn't spin because turntable was just pushed in too far in, and it was just rubbing on the body. When I had done all that, it had worked. It would spin, but wouldn't read table of contents. Just wouldn't. There was an error, and that really had me baffled for a long time. I wasn't quite sure if it was some error in the mechanism, because mechanism CM9. It has, if you look, it has a lot of corrosion there on the body. So I didn't know if there was an error somewhere there. Or was there an error on a servo board? Some of the chips, like that Motorola chip, isn't available anymore, and the data was flowing, but somehow I wasn't sure that some bits were missing, or is it just being misinterpreted? So the next thing, before I was going to put it on the back burner and try a spare mechanism, is I decided to put some new caps, some new electrolytics, and I've replaced all the electrolytics on the drive board underneath. There's a PCB. That didn't make any difference at all. And then I recapped the servo board with low ESR Le-Long capacitors. Well, out of all of them, there was just one a bit sus on that servo board, and there was one that was really faulty. That one here, 2.2 micro, which showed 30 micro, huge leakage, and 20% voltage drop. So this is it. This cost me about 10 hours of bloody work. But sadly, I could do nothing more clever, because the only information the Quad still has available is a wiring diagram and the power supply, which power supply worked fine, and power supply board. So the rest is just unavailable, so there's nothing to trace, nothing to measure. But all good that ends well, and it now jumps tracks nicely, and you can wind it, back, and no video of mine would have been complete without annoying you with tones. So here it is, my test discs, and as usual, tracks 8 and 15. For these are the hardest to play. You have to press play after you select the track. So that's 8, and that does it fine, and 15. These are the tracks with biggest interruption data layer and biggest black dot. So that's all, folks. So I'm not going to make any money on it, because if I spend $10, 10 hours, and at $50 would have been $500. That's close to the, close to the purchase price for this player, or maybe a bit more to get it. One thing that needs to be finished is I have to put that cover back on at the front and adjust the height. The problem with the damn thing is that when you adjust it nice and even so the cover goes in, then the whole mechanism is then too low, and you cannot properly turn it on and off, because it rubs on the bar that goes to the power switch at the back. So it's a sort of touch and go operation. And this is sort of for the owner, if it sort of fails. If you go and let me turn off the power amp. If you go and turn off the power now, you can push the tray, pull that a bit, And here are, you can see there is a couple of screws, and these are the screws with which you adjust the height. And when you finish with all that, you can just push the tray back in and turn the power back on. CD66 shows the firmware and it's back to its previous self. So thank you very much for your attention. Until next time, bye bye. I'll take you out with some Herbie Hancock. This is my most scratched CDR, that's why I always play it. And after all these years, it works just fine. But it will help if I turned on the power amp, for there'll be no sound. Well, thanks again, folks, and goodbye. Cheers.